Good morning, Idaho. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening to this. Welcome to the Local Yokel Idaho podcast, where we talk about what is going on in the wonderful state of Idaho. Starting off with the morning banter for the podcast, this is just kind of a moment where I kind of just talk a little bit about myself and then stuff kind of going on in Idaho and just something casual before we get into the bulk of the podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful week whenever you're listening to this, if it's in the middle or the beginning of the week, which is something interesting. As I've looked at my analytics, it seems like a lot of you listen to it throughout the week, which is cool. I'm all fine with that. But I know the podcast, when I'm making it, I kind of envision it being in the first half of the week, but to each their own. I mean, I could totally see where you could listen to it throughout the week and stuff, but I know we got a bit of snow here in the Treasure Valley on Wednesday night and Thursday night. I don't know about the rest of the state. I didn't look at all. I assume you guys got more snow than we did or a ton, but then again, you know, there's different mountain ranges and stuff, so maybe not. But I know here down in the Treasure Valley, we got a bunch. Enough that like the news reporting in KTV was going on about how there was like some traffic issues and stuff that day for the commute, which personally, I'm like, we had all this snow in December and you didn't do any reporting on it. Is it just because it's a really slow news week? I mean, that's kind of where my guess is at, that stuff is just slow. And so they're like, well, we got nothing better to run, so let's just run with, you know, traffic issues on the interstate and stuff. But, any case, but in an interesting topic, I guess, to share is I went on a little bit of a road trip this last Friday out to Weiser to go check out the chocolate factory there. I mean, I've been there before. And we were going there. My sister hasn't been, but I went out with my sister and my grandparents, and we did that, and it's always wonderful. I highly recommend dropping by there. The chocolate's really good. I've actually really enjoyed the past. Their bacon BLT. That is crazy. I think it's 1/4 of a pound of bacon on there. It is so much bacon. If you love bacon, I highly recommend going there and trying it. Also, their pretzels are really good. Like the big pretzels, not like the small little pretzels, but like the big pretzels that you might be able to get at the Boise Mall. Those there are really good, and so are the chocolates. And it's nice to just support a local store. Plus, there's some nice coffee shops and other antique stores there in Weiser, so you can just kind of make a day of it, and it's really enjoyable if you're in the Treasure Valley area. If you're over in like Rexburg or Pocatello, then you're like, what are you talking about? That's like a full day for me to get all the way over to Weiser, which in that case, you know, don't worry about it. But we did that, and that was really fun. I think we stopped in Payette for some different antiquing shops and stuff there, and that was really fun. My sister got a couple things that she was really excited about. It was really cool to stop in there at that town. A lot quieter than Weiser, which maybe is to be expected, maybe not, but really enjoy traveling through that area. And then we came back for the evening and stuff. But it's always cool to go out and travel. I love dropping by there. It was interesting to talk to a gentleman at one of the antique stores we dropped at in Weiser. It was really cool to stop there and chat with him and different stuff. And, you know, if you ever listen to the podcast, then hello, nice to talk to you. But yeah, overall, good. But as for like my comment I made earlier about it being a slow news week, I wouldn't say particularly when it comes to like the news and everything, as I was writing for it this week. But then again, there wasn't anything like really big. There was just a bunch of like, oh, that's cool and that's interesting and this and yada yada. I mean, the biggest thing I think that happened was the reservoir dam up in Lewiston breaking, which we'll get into that. I think that was like the biggest standout story of the week among all the other things. I mean, there's always the Moscow murders going on. That's just constantly running like a waterfall. But I think that's the biggest story that happened this week. But in any case, I'm kind of running out of stuff to talk about, so it's going to be a little bit of a shorter morning banter, and we'll just get into the rest of the podcast here. Moving into holidays and interesting events of the week, we have Monday the 23rd of January, which is National Handwriting Day and National Pie Day. As for in history, in 1368, Zhu Zhangzong ascended to the throne of China, starting the Ming Dynasty that ruled over China for 3 centuries. In 1862, 10,000 grape cuttings were imported to California for the first time. In 1973, Richard Nixon announced that an accord had been reached to end the Vietnam War. In 1978, Sweden banned aerosol sprays. Lastly, in 2020, China locked down the city of Wuhan and its 9 million people to control the spread of COVID. As for birthdays, Monday was John Hancock's. And for deaths, in 2005, John Carson died. And in 2021, Larry King died. Moving on into Tuesday the 24th of January is National Peanut Butter Day. As for in history, in 1848, James Marshall found gold in Sutler's Mill in California. In 1899, the rubber heel of boots and shoes was patented in America. In 1935, Kroger Brewing Company sold the first canned beer. In 1972, Sergeant Soichi Yokoi was found in the Guam jungle where he had been hiding since World War II. And lastly, in 1984, Apple Computer Inc. unveiled the Macintosh personal computer. As for birthdays, Tuesday was Hadrian's and Sharon Tate's birthday. Wednesday, the 25th of January is National Irish Coffee Day and National Opposite Day. As for in history, in 1840, an American naval expedition by Charles Wilkes was the first to identify Antarctica as a new continent. In 1890, journalist Nellie Bly beat Phileas Fogg's fictional Around the World in 80 Days by 8 days. Lastly, in 1961, the first live national televised presidential news conference happened with JFK. As for birthdays, Thursday was Robert Burns' birthday and is Zelensky's 44th birthday. As for deaths, in 1947, Al Capone died. In 1990, Ava Gardner died. And lastly, in 2017, Mary Moore died. Thursday, the 26th of January is National Spouse Day. As for in history, in 1564, the Council of Trent established a distinction between Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. In 1980, 175,000 people paid to hear Frank Sinatra sing in Rio de Janeiro. And lastly, in 1998, Bill Clinton stated he had not had intercourse with Miss Lewinsky. As for birthdays, Thursday was Douglas MacArthur's, Frank Costello's, Paul Newman's, and Eddie Hallen's birthdays. As for deaths, in 1979, Nelson Rockefeller died. And lastly, in 2020, Kobe Bryant died. Moving on into Friday the 27th is National Holocaust Remembrance Day and National Chocolate Cake Day. As for in history, in 1825, the U.S. Congress approved the Indian Territory, which was followed by the forced relocation of Eastern Indian tribes via the Trail of Tears. In 1888, the National Geographic Society was founded in Washington, D.C. In 1880, Thomas Edison patented the electric incandescent lamp. In 1924, Lenin was placed in the mausoleum in the Red Square. In 1945, Soviet troops liberated Auschwitz in Poland. In 1956, RCA Records released Elvis Presley's single Heartbreak Hotel. Lastly, in 1973, the U.S. and North Vietnam signed a ceasefire, ending the longest U.S. war and military draft. As for birthdays, Friday was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's, Friedrich Wilhelm's, Lewis Carroll's, and Edward Smith's birthday. As for deaths, in 1816, Samuel Hood died, and in 1993, Andre the Giant died. Saturday, the 28th of January is National Data Privacy Day, Blueberry Pancake Day, and National Fun at Work Day. As for in history, in 1529, the Edict of Worms denounced Martin Luther. In 1813, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice was published. In 1887, Fort Keogh in Montana recorded the world's largest snowflakes, measuring 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick. In 1935, Iceland became the first Western country to legalize abortion. And lastly, in 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after liftoff from Cape Canaveral. As for birthdays, Saturday was Henry Stanley's birthday and is Elijah Wood's 41st birthday. As for deaths, in 814 AD, Charlemagne died. In 1596, Francis Drake died. And lastly, in 1918, John McCrae died. Sunday the 29th is National Puzzle Day and Corn Chip Day. As for in history, in 1595, William Shakespeare's play Romeo and Juliet was thought to have first premiered. In 1856, the Victoria Cross was established to acknowledge valor in the face of the enemy. In 1886, Carl Benz patented the world's first automobile with a burning motor. In 1892, the Coca-Cola Company started in Atlanta, Georgia. And lastly, in 2002, George W. Bush, in his State of the Union address, described the, quote, regimes that sponsor terror as, quote, an axis of evil. As for birthdays, Sunday was Thomas Paine's and John D. Rockefeller's birthday, and is Tom Selleck's 77th birthday and Oprah Winfrey's 68th birthday. As for deaths, in 1963, Robert Frost died, and lastly, in 1980, Jimmy Durante died. Moving on to upcoming events, I'm going to read the timestamps for each town. That way you can jump to whichever town you're interested in, thus saving you time. Starting off with Boise at 13 minutes, 53 seconds. Meridian at 16 minutes, 3 seconds. Nampa at 16 minutes, 56 seconds. Caldwell at 17 minutes, 55 seconds. Weiser at 19 minutes, 25 seconds. Eagle at 19 minutes, 45 seconds. Emmett at 20 minutes, 44 seconds. Twin Falls at 21 minutes, 9 seconds. Pocatello at 22 minutes, 13 seconds. Idaho Falls at 23 minutes, 53 seconds. Rexburg at 24 minutes, 46 seconds. McCall at 26 minutes, 4 seconds. Cascade at 27 minutes, 41 seconds. Lewiston at 28 minutes, 30 seconds. Moscow at 30 minutes, 19 seconds. Coeur d'Alene at 30 minutes, 53 seconds. Post Falls at 31 minutes, 44 seconds. Sandpoint at 31 minutes, 57 seconds. And the end of events is at 33 minutes, 7 seconds. Starting off with Boise in city events, we have a couple here. Tuesday, there is a city council work session and meeting at Boise City Hall. The work session is at 3:30 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. Wednesday, there is a city council meeting at 10 a.m. at Boise City Hall. Then Thursday, there is a citywide advisory committee meeting at 3 p.m. at Boise City Hall. Then lastly, next Tuesday, January 31st, there is a city council work session and meeting at Boise City Hall. The work session is at 3:30 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. As for performances, Thursday, there is the Banff Film Festival from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Egyptian Theater. Thursday, Boise State will be playing Air Force at 6:30 p.m. at the Extra Mile Arena. Then Friday, there is a Boise Boat Show from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Expo, Idaho. Then moving on to Saturday, there is an Idaho remodeling and design show at 10 a.m. at the Boise Center. Also Saturday, there is the Boise Winter Championship at 7 a.m. at the Treasure Valley Athletic Center. Friday and Sunday, there are performances of Macbeth at the Morrison Center. Friday, it is at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday, it is at 2:30 p.m. Then also from Friday till February 3rd, there is a performance of Daughters of Salem at the Morrison Center. Tickets are $20 a person. In fun events, there is an exhibit called Slime at the Discovery Center. It is an exhibit covering 3,000 square feet, teaching about non-Newtonian fluids. It ends January 5th. And then every Sunday, the Boise Depot has a open house and tours. It is open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. and the tours are from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. In other events, Monday, there's an embroidery basics class from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. at the Jones Sew and VAC. Then Wednesday, there is the Garden City Acting Club meeting from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Creative Space. Then also Wednesday, there is a virtual fruit tree pruning class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The class is free. You'll just need to register. For more information on any things I talked about, go to the Boise City website or check the link in the description below. Meridian, basically two of the same events, just 2 week swap. So Tuesday, there is a Meridian City Council work session and meeting at City Hall. The work session is at 4:30 p.m. and the meeting is at 6 p.m. That is basically duplicated for just next Thursday, January 31st. Then as for performances, Saturday, there is a murder mystery dinner and show from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Meridian Senior Center. It is $30 a person. In fun stuff, Monday, the Meridian Knights Chess Club is being held from 12:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. at the Meridian Library. And then Wednesday, there is a silly song and dance from 10:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Meridian Library. In other events, Monday, there is an open house at the Meridian Arts Charter High School from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Meridian City website or check the link in the description below. Nampa, just one thing for city here. Tuesday, there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. at the Council Chambers. As for performances, Wednesday, the Caldwell High School Cougars are fighting against the Columbia High School Wildcats. Friday, there is an arcade comedy show from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Nampa Valley Garage. And then on Saturday, the Canyon County Kids Expo is at the Ford Idaho Center. As for fun stuff, Tuesday, there is a Munchin' Munchkins event from 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. at the Harvard Rec Center. It is a toddler cooking class for ages 2 to 4, and it is $28 for members and $33 for non-members. In other events, Saturday, there is a Bob Ross-style painting class from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Harvard Recreation Center. For members, it is $75 and $85 for non-members. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Nampa City website or check the link in the description below. Caldwell got a couple of city events here. Tuesday, there is a Design Review Commission meeting at 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. Then Wednesday, there is a Hero Examiner meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Caldwell Police Station. Also Wednesday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. As for performances, Sunday, there is the Snake River concert from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. It is free, and you will just need to reserve your spot. And then Wednesday, there is the Caldwell High School Cougars are fighting against the Columbia High School Wildcats. Then as for fun stuff, Wednesday, there is a DIY cards and bookmarks class at 3 p.m. at the Caldwell Public Library. Thursday, there is a trivia night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Flying M in downtown Caldwell. And then also Thursday, there is a egg drop challenge at 4:30 p.m. at the Caldwell Public Library. In other events, Tuesday, there is a Skate for a Cause event from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Indian Creek Plaza. Then Saturday, there is a Cowboy Trail event at 1 p.m. at the One Main Ranch. It is $175 a team. Then Saturday, there is the 2023 Idaho Bass National Banquet at 6 p.m. at the Caldwell Elk Lodge. Tickets are $40 a person. Also Saturday, Jan Flynn will be signing books at 1 p.m. at the Rediscover Bookshop. For more information on anything talked about, go to the Caldwell City website or check the link in the description below. Weezer, same old, but in fun stuff, Wednesday there is a 4-H program after school series from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at 116 West Idaho Street. They'll be learning about computer science through game programming. It is an ongoing event and is $30 for the program year. For more information about that, check the link in the description below. Eagle, didn't find any events. I just have city stuff here, so I'll try to burn through this as quickly as I can. Tuesday, there is a city council meeting at 5:30 p.m. at City Hall. Also Tuesday, there's a public hearing at 6 p.m. at the council chambers on the question for annexation and rezoning, land use map amendments, fee scheduling update, Eagle fire protection, Brookshire fencing, and Butler fencing waiver. Then Wednesday, there is coffee with the mayor from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the council chambers. Also Wednesday, there's an event called Spring Valley CID from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the council chambers. Then moving on to Thursday, there is a Mayor's Youth Advisory Council meeting at the council chambers from 3:45 p.m. to 5 p.m. Also Thursday, there is a design review board meeting at 6 p.m. at the council chambers. And lastly, following Monday, January 30th, there is a town hall meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the council chambers. For more information about that, and go to the Eagle City website. Emmett, just 2 events here, not a lot, but the first one here is City Tuesday. There is a city council meeting at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The location is not stated, but I assume it's at City Hall or maybe the police station or something. You'll need to check with them on that. And then also Tuesday, there is an advanced wire weaving class at 6 p.m. at the Grateful Gardens Art Studio. If you're interested with any of that, go to the Emmett City website or check the link in the description below. Twin Falls. So got a couple things here for city. Monday, there is a city council meeting at 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then Tuesday, there's a planning and zoning commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Next Monday, January 30th, there is an urban renewal agency meeting from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Also, next Monday, January 30th, there is a city council meeting from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. As you heard, no locations for any of those were stated on the calendar that the official city has. So could you please do that, Twin Falls? Because that would be wonderful and very, very, very helpful. As for performances, Thursday, the Chang Duo, hopefully I'm getting that right, will be performing at 8:30 p.m. at the CSI Fine Arts Center. And in fun stuff, Saturday, there's a fused class. And then as for fun stuff, Saturday, there's a fused glass basics class from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Twin Falls ID Hands-On. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Twin Falls City website or check the link in the description below. Pocatello, you guys still have some city stuff, but not quite as much this time, which is nice, so I can get to the other stuff. So starting off with that, Monday, there is a Pocatello's Youth Advisory Council meeting at the City Hall from 3:15 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Then moving to Tuesday, there is an Investment and Audit Committee meeting from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at City Hall. Also Tuesday, there is a site planning review meeting from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. Then moving to Wednesday, there is an animal shelter advisory meeting from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. at 3100 Avenue of Chiefs in Pocatello. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 31st, there is a site planning review meeting at City Hall from 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m. As for performances, Thursday, Ticket to Paradise is showing at 7 p.m. at the Pond Student Union Building. It is free for students. Then moving to Friday, there is an event called Boston Marriage from 7:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Old Town Actors Studio. Then Saturday, there's a Broadway Lights Pops concert from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Stevens Performing Arts Center. Check below for ticket prices. Then in fun stuff, Thursday, there is bingo from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Pond Student Union Building. It is free for students, $3 for faculty, and $5 for the public. Also Thursday, there is an open mic night from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Station Square. In other events, Wednesday, there is a team roping event called Load 'em in the Dark from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Bannock County Event Center. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Pocatello City website or check the link in the description below. Idaho Falls, nothing for city, but in performances, Friday, there is Jeff Crosby. He will be live at 7 p.m. at the Elk Lodge. Then in fun stuff, Thursday and Saturday, there is a pottery class at the Eastern Idaho Art Museum. Thursday, it is from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Saturday, it is from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. In other events, Wednesday, there is the 2023 Organic Gardening class from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. This week, they'll be going over Garden Planning 101. Then moving to Friday, there's an avalanche awareness presentation from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 4279 Commerce Circuit, Idaho Falls. Then Saturday, there is a defense handgun course from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Guns and Gear Sports. For more information about any things I talked about, go to the link in the description below. Rexburg, nothing for city that I could see, but in performances next Monday, January 30th, there is a free movie Monday at 6:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. They are not sharing what it will be, but you can't be too picky when it's free. As for fun stuff, Tuesday, there is an art exploration event at 3 p.m. for kids at City Hall. It is put on by the Rexburg Arts. You will need to register for that. Tuesday, there is an event called Creative Corner. It is at 4:30 p.m. at City Hall. It is for youth between the ages of 5 to 12. You will need to register for that. Most of these you will as well. Thursday, there is an intro to watercolor class for adults at 7 p.m. at City Hall. Also register. And then also Thursday, there's an improv class for adults at 6:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. We'll need to register. In other events, Wednesday, there's a musical theater for kids at 4:30 p.m. at the Romance Theater. Is for kids between the ages of 8 and 11. Then also Wednesday, there is a musical theater for adults at 5:30 p.m. And then also Wednesday, there is a musical theater for teens at 5:30 p.m. So it looks like they might be mixing the adults and stuff, not sure. And then moving to Thursday, there is an open studio for adults at City Hall at 10 a.m. You will need to register for that. For more information about any of the things we talked about, go check the link in the description below. McCall, got two things for city here. Thursday, there is a city council meeting at 5:30 p.m. at Legion Hall. Then next Monday, January 30th, there is a public arts advisory committee meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. My notes don't tell me where that's at. I think I might have just forgotten. I think it's also at Legion Hall, but do check on that. As for performances, Friday, the McCall Winter Carnival kicks off and goes until February 5th. If you haven't been before, I highly recommend checking it out. Then Sunday, the official Idaho Sled Dog Ceremony starts at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 141 Moon Ridge Drive, McCall. This will be the start of the challenge and the send-off for the mushers. Plus, some of the mushers will be offering 20-minute rides on their sleds. Then the next day, Monday, January 30th, the racers start with a 24-hour 100-mile race and a 300-mile 3-day race. Then as for fun stuff, Tuesday, there is Yahtzee from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Bistro 45. And in other events, Friday, there is an avalanche awareness presentation from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Mile High High School Sports. In other events, Friday, there is an avalanche awareness presentation from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the Mile High Power Sports. Then Saturday, there is an avalanche companion rescue clinic from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the West Face Snowmobile parking lot. And then lastly, there is cross-country skiing and snowshoeing available at the Meadow Creek Golf Resort from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For an adult day pass, it is $10, and for youth, it is $5. It is going until April 30th. For more information about anything I talked about, go to the McCall City website or check the link in the description below. Cascade. So got one thing here for performance. All week, there is the 2023 Idaho Sled Dog Challenge at Lake Cascade Boat Access Parking Lot. It will be going until February 1st. As for in fun things, Wednesday, there is a high school youth group from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Cascade Community Church. Then moving on to Friday, there is dinner from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at American Legion. Then there is a swing dance class from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It is free for all ages to attend and will be happening at the Valley Club building. It will be on country and line dancing. If you have questions, call Steve at 208-861-8486. And then also Friday, there is bingo at the Senior Center from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. For more information about anything I talked about, go to the Cascade City website or check the link in the description below. Lewiston got a couple of city events here. Monday, there is a city council meeting at 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. Then moving to Tuesday, there is a cemetery/urban forestry commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at 1424 Main Street, Lewiston. Then moving to Wednesday, there is a planning and zoning meeting from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 215 D Street, Lewiston. As for performances, Friday, there is an outer space and alien theme family night from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Azontin, I think I'm saying that right, Asotin County Family Center. Then as for fun stuff, Tuesday, there is the Tuesday at the library from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. They'll have snacks. They will be having a Smash Bros. Video game tournament, plus some other fun stuff. Then Wednesday, there is a Wiggles and Giggles event from 11 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Lewiston Library. And then moving on to next Monday, January 30th, there is a grown-up game night from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the library. They will have arcades, VR, Xbox, and some other fun stuff. In other events, Wednesday, there is an after-school junior master gardener lab from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. You will need to register for that. Then Thursday, there is a quilt with coral from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. Also Thursday, there is an after-school art new learning lab from 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Lewiston Library. And lastly, on Thursday, there's the middle school girls STEM club meeting. It will be held at 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the library. For more information on anything I talked about, go to the Lewiston City website or check the link in the description below. Moscow. So in performances, Tuesday there is a screening of Tokyo's Story at 7 p.m. at the Kenworth Theater. Then moving to Saturday, the Idaho State Bengals will be playing the Idaho Vandals at 3 p.m. at the ICCU Arena. And then lastly, next Tuesday, January 31st, there is a free showing of McCabe and Mrs. Miller film. Then in fun stuff, Wednesday, there is a UI Outdoor Backcountry Film Festival at 7 p.m. Tickets are $12 a person. For more information on anything we talked about, go check the link in the description below. Coeur d'Alene got a couple of city things here. Monday, there is a General Service / Public Works Committee meeting at 12 p.m. at the library. Also Monday, there's a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. at the library and a Child Care Commission meeting at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall. Then moving to Tuesday, there is an Arts Commission meeting at 4 p.m. at City Hall. And then Wednesday, there is a Library Board meeting at 4 p.m. at the library. And then Thursday, there is a Historic Preservation Commission meeting at 4 p.m. at City Hall. Only have one other thing here in other events. Saturday, there is an Avalanche Companion Rescue Clinic from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The details of the location are a little hazy, so I've just checked the link below for that. And as I was just about to say, go check the link in the description below for more information and go to the Coeur d'Alene City website for more information. Post Falls, just one thing, just for city. Tuesday, there is a Parks and Recreation Commission meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at City Hall. For more information about that one thing, go to the Post Falls City website. Sandpoint got a couple of performances here. There is live music Monday and on Wednesday. Monday, there's blues, and Wednesday, there is live piano. If you're interested in that, check for the locations and stuff, music playing, check the link below. Then Friday, there's a free film at 7 p.m. at the Pineda Theater. The movie being played is Summer of Soul. Then Saturday, there's a science presentation at 9 p.m. at the Pineda Theater. Also Saturday, there is a live jazz performance from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 100 North 1st Avenue, Sandpoint. In fun stuff, Friday, there's a Toyota free ski day. If you drive your Toyota, Suzuki, or Lexus to Schweizer, you'll get a free lift ticket for the day. Then Saturday, there's a winter workshop from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the Sandpoint Library. Then Saturday, there's also a winter wilderness skill class from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Pine Street Woods. The class is $75 a person after they will be doing some sledding. For more information about anything talked about, go to the Sandpoint City website or check the link in the description below. Starting off with the first story for the news, we have Reservoir Dam in Lewiston fails. This comes by several sources, so if you're interested, please check below. As of the writing of this is what I have, but by this time, things may or may not have changed, so please go look and check for any updates that may have occurred. With that said, last Wednesday, January 18th at 4 a.m. in Lewiston, one of Lewiston's water reservoirs located along 16th Street Avenue ruptured. This released about 3 million gallons of water, causing localized flooding on 16th Street, 11th, 9th, 8th, and Sunset Drive, which are now closed due to flooding damage, and 3 local schools were closed. As for the cause of the rupture, after a preliminary investigation, the city of Lewiston is unsure of what caused the rupture, but according to Dustin Johnson, the public works director, quote, "Nothing was identified in previous planning documents or inspection reports that indicate a cause for concern at this facility. It is important to identify the root cause of the incident in order to move forward, and staff have been working diligently to do so," end quote. With that said, only 2/3 of the town are affected. The other third has a separate reservoir that didn't, rupture. On Wednesday, the city issued a boil water order for the city, but that has since been lifted for half of the area affected. If you want to see which areas are in that, the Big County News article goes through that, and you can check that out. For those involved, there are water filling stations open at the Lewiston Community Center from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Also on Thursday, the Lewiston City Council unanimously voted for the city to personally spend up to $200,000 to purchase materials and services needed to fix the water infrastructure and system after the event that caused. Now getting into kind of just a little bit of the discussion that is really sad to hear. It is kind of weird. It was really hard to find stuff. There was like the preliminary reports, and then there hasn't been just a lot of news after that. But if you go down into the articles that I quote, there's a couple where you can actually see some videos of like the flooding that happened that night that some people captured and stuff. To kind of give you kind of some perspective of what was going on there. But yeah, really sad to hear. Hopefully they get that figured out and people are able to get the water and needs that they have completed and everything. And hopefully they figure out the cause. I'm wondering if it has to do with some temperature expansion, because in the cold weather and everything, that maybe there was like something where ice got into it and it expanded and then it broke something and then that broke another thing and then it came out. Or was it maybe more just poor maintenance or stuff? I mean, I didn't quote it in here, but I do remember glancing and seeing something. It might have been an article, it might have been someone, so don't take it with absolute truth. But that the reservoir in question was like 100 years old or something. So that might also be to play with it, just the age of it, and that something finally failed that they thought had fixed and not. I don't know. But then if you're going against the public works director, him saying that there was no cause and their planning and inspection reports indicate that there was something, then that would say that they were trying to stay on top of it. But I will say, as reading all these articles, credit where credit's due to the Lewiston City. They seem to be on top of it, keeping people informed, trying their best to do everything they can to serve and help those that they can. So props to them on that. And hopefully everyone up there in Lewiston, you're all right and everything goes okay. And, you guys can figure this all out here and the things can get repaired that need to be repaired. The next one is CAL Ranch and Farm Supply merger. This comes by East Idaho News by Rhett Nelson. Those in the eastern part of Idaho probably know about this company, but for myself and everyone in the western part of Idaho, I did not know that this existed. CAL Ranch and Farm Supply is a locally based ranch and home store that has been around since 1959. They got their start in downtown Idaho Falls and have since expanded into Rexburg, Blackfoot, Pocatello, Burnley, Idaho, and in total have 33 locations throughout Arizona, Nevada, Utah, and Idaho. Well, last Tuesday, the vice president of marketing announced that they had merged with Coastal Farm and Ranch, which is a farm and ranch supplier in Oregon and Washington. With that said, the newly merged company will keep all of the same names to help people not be confused about where they're going and yada yada, what's going on. But the corporate headquarters for the companies will be in Idaho Falls after that merger. They'll all kind of go into one thing there. This merger will also grow the company to 44 stores across 6 western states. I will admit, when I was writing for this, I found it very, very interesting. I had never run into these. I mean, I know up north, for those in Lewiston, like we just talked about, you probably know about the North 40. We don't have that down here in the southern part of the state, but it's really cool. It kind of, this thing here, CAL Ranch and Farm Supply, from the photos that I was seeing, is like similar in size and kind of what it does and what it sells, kind of just a really oversized D&B. But really cool to see this, and also to see that it's staying in Idaho, that the merger doesn't like take it out of Idaho, because it seems like so often you see mergers and then things kind of come together and then they just move outside of the state, and it's like, oh cool, that kind of benefits Idaho, but it doesn't. it's nice to see that this actually does benefit Idaho, that it increases the size of an Idaho company to have a greater footprint, and keeping those headquarters here in Idaho, keeping it an Idaho-based company is still really, really cool, and congratulations to them on that. Hopefully it's beneficial for the consumer, a little bit more buying power, more centralized and more easy processing for everything. Also, if you're someone over there in that area in Rexburg, Blackfoot, Pocatello, Burley, or Idaho Falls, have you gone to this store? Do you know about it? Do you like it? Do you like the stuff they do? Do you enjoy it? Have you ever gone into one? What is it like? Next one here is a little bit of a short one, but worth a full story. New Boise Boba location opening. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. So Boise Boba will be opening a new location in Meridian. The Boise Boba currently has about 3 other sites, one in Eagle, one in Garden City, and the other one in Boise. The 4th will be located at 1560 North Locust Grove Road in Meridian. Although the Meridian Planning and Zoning and City Council will need to approve it for it to go through, which I think is happening in February 2nd, but it's not on the docket yet, so that might not happen that day. One of the exciting parts about this building is it already has a kitchen and a drive-through window. So, I know for a lot of food or restaurant or different things that you might love, there are many that I love and enjoy, don't always have a drive-through option available to them. And you're just like, oh, it'd be so nice that I could just drive in, grab my stuff, and go, or order whatever else. So I don't know if any of the other ones, I think maybe one of them does, one of the Boise Boba has a drive-through. So having this will be really nice. So if you're in the Meridian area or more out west and you enjoy that franchise a lot, you could just drive in theory. But then again, it's still up in the air. They put it in, and I think it's probably going to get approval. But then again, it'll be interesting to see what the Meridian Planning and Zoning and the City Council think about it all. Moscow murder update. This comes by KTVB7 by Alexander Dugan. A 28-year-old man has been charged with the murder of 4 U of I students. Police have stated that they had found DNA matching him to the scene, phone records of him being around the campus, and his vehicle being near the crime scene. The update is that the police have released what they found in his Washington State apartment. The police found the following items of interest: 1 Nyrate type black glove, 1 Walmart receipt with Dickies tags, 2 Marshall's receipts, dust container from a vacuum, 8 possible hair strands, 1 Amazon Fire Stick with cord/plug, 1 possible animal hair strand, 4 other possible hair strands, 1 computer tower, 1 collection of dark red spots were collected without testing, 2 cuttings from an uncased pillow with reddish brown stains, 1 stain tested, top and bottom mattress covered with multiple stains. The officer who requested the search warrant stated this, quote, "These murders appear to have been planned rather than a crime that happened in a moment of conflict. I believe it is likely redacted, planned his actions ahead of time. The suspect has a preliminary hearing set for June 26th in Layton County." Still sad to hear as things come out. It seems like the case keeps being built and built. I mean, the DNA, I think, was a big nail in the coffin for the case of him being the gentleman that murdered the 4 students. But it'll be interesting to see. I mean, this seems to be a very high-profile thing, and I would agree with the officer's statements that this seemed to be more of a planned thing than it was a moment of conflict or frustration, that this seemed to be something that was premeditated, that he really thought it about, whoever it may be, if it's this gentleman or not. I mean, I know some people might get frustrated with me not wanting to immediately jump on the bandwagon of it being this guy. But I also know on the flip side, it's a court case. These things can go up and down, and you may be looking at it one moment and it means this thing, or the government or whoever wants a conviction is trying to push something a certain way. And so I'm trying to stand back and just be like, okay, this is what we've got right now. It looks really like he is the guy that has done this. I mean, you've got the DNA, you've got the phone records, and then you have his vehicle that's tied to him. I mean, with the DNA at that point, it really closes it in, but then maybe it's a family member, and then this guy planned this well enough that he's trying to pawn it off on his parents or someone else related to him. But then again, I have no idea. I don't know why he would do that. I don't know enough. I don't follow super closely on this thing because I like to kind of sleep at night. What exactly would be his motive for that? Because you got to find motive. But I'm really glad that they are definitely putting effort to try to figure out who did it. And it seems like they're getting closer and closer to the actual suspect, and it's looking really, really like he did it. But it'll be interesting to hear those records as they slowly kind of get released, like this one is an example of that, and what the court hearing will be and what things they'll bring forward in that public hearing. Next one is Greater Idaho Bill introduced to Oregon Senate. This comes by KTVB7 by KGW staff. I've been following this story off and on, and even before I started this podcast, it's kind of an exciting idea. Hopefully I'm getting your name right. Senator Dennis Linthicum of Klamath Falls introduced Bill CJM2 to Oregon's 2023 legislative session. This bill is part of the Greater Idaho movement that wants to adjust state lines to add conservative counties in Oregon over to Idaho. Quoting the bill, quote, "Patterns of Eastern Oregon have for many decades resembled voting patterns of Idaho," end quote. There are 15 counties that might vote and 11 have already voted. The bill itself does not state the counties that it would affect, but according to the movement's website list, Klamath, Lake, Harney, Malheur, Baker, Grant, Union, Wheeler, Morrow, Sherman, Jefferson, Loyola, Umatilla, Gilliam, and Crook counties are the ones that will be participating in that 15, make up those 15 counties. Of the 11 counties that have voted, all of them have voted to approve the ballot measure. Granted, those ballot measures are not legally binding. Both Idaho's, Oregon's, and the federal legislature would have to sign off on the adjustments. I personally think this is kind of cool and interesting. I mean, as a person who I will admit leans a little bit more conservatively, I think this would be really nice for some of the friends and people I know across the border in Oregon, for them to be able to join us and consider keeping Idaho the way it is more conservatively. If you're a liberal person, this probably doesn't sound as nice because then it just gives you more of an uphill battle if you're trying to win those elections and create different liberal or Democrat movement in the state of Idaho. But in general, I just kind of feel bad for those in Oregon because you kind of see where you have Portland, which we've all heard the stories about, like the BLM riots that happened a while back and different stuff that seems to be very, very focused on more left-leaning, left-wing type of politics and Democrat policies. But then when you look at a map of the general state and you're like, okay, yeah, I get that, Portland wants that, and you see the amount of electoral votes, or however you want to put it that way, how much power they hold over the rest of the state. And then you have like 90% of the rest of the state that's like, no, we don't want this. No, we really, really don't like this, and keep really, really, really consistently voting super red. But in general, all the laws that then come down upon them are laws that none of them voted for in general in the state. I could totally see where that is a struggle and a frustration, and in a weird way, I almost, I can't think of a better way for them to try to affect that or change that than that. Because you can see at the local level that they are involved enough that they're changing their local politics. Every single county is voting in lockstep with what the citizens want. But even when that's happening, the Portland area is still overruling the state and its interests. And at that point, it would either be better for those parts of the state to leave. But then if, they want to leave and they're like, well, we already kind of really agree with Idaho, then connecting. Also, partly selfishly, aside from politics, I think this would be really cool that maybe at some point there could be an Idaho coast that I could have all the Idaho laws that I love and enjoy. And then I could also be on like the Idaho coast, but ex-Oregon coast. And I think that would be like super cool and super fun to have. And I think this is kind of a cool idea. We'll see if it keeps rolling. I know someone, might counter-argument me and say, well, you see that across all the United States, that rural will always kind of vote red, and then the main bigger metropolitan areas will always vote more liberal in their voting patterns, and it's just a natural kind of back and forth and balance that has to occur. And you have a fair point there. But I think in Oregon, if you look at it, I would argue the case that it's a perfect example of where you see where that balance is off. Where, yes, the rural area kind of balances out the city area and the two kind of go back and forth. But I think you can see a very sharp case in the Oregon situation where the Portland area has so much power that the conservative rest of the state can't even balance it out. It's just the scale is so weighed down. There's no trying. It doesn't matter how much they try to say stuff. It's not going to overbalance how far and how crazy that the Oregon legislator is going to go. But it will be interesting to see. I know for some this might be a little bit of a hot button topic, but there's definitely people, as you can see with these votes that are being passed with 11 counties already, that really, really do not like what's happening in Portland and want something very, very different. So be that them moving into Idaho and connecting with us or different things, it'll be interesting to see what occurs there, what solution occurs, because if no solution occurs, it's just going to keep brewing and issues are just going to keep rising. But interesting to keep. If you're interested, do go look out at their site. Probably an interesting read or a fun chuckle for the evening at least. Short but quick one here. Airline goes off runway at the Boise airport. This comes by KTAV B7 by staff. Last Monday evening, an airplane arrived from Texas and landed at the Boise airport and started taxiing to the terminal when they went off the pavement. It was an American airline Boeing 737. No one was hurt out of the 6 crew members and 168 passengers. After the incident, passengers exited the airplane losing the air stairs and were shuttled to the terminal. American Airlines has stated that the plane is out of service and is undergoing a full inspection there at the airport, which it's kind of sad to hear. But then again, I mean, mistakes do happen. It'd be better. I'm glad that this happened on the runway rather than it happening when they were in the air or something or when they were landing. So I'm glad they caught that. But, it's just not something you hear every day. And I'm glad it sounds like no one was hurt and it was just kind of an interesting occurrence. I mean, for me, I can only imagine like taking my head out for a moment and then imagining being in those people with the plane. I wonder if it was like a really big kerfuffle when it happened, if it was just the plane driver was not doing well and it went off, or if it was a tire explosion or something. I'm not sure, but I'm glad everyone's safe and I'm glad the airline is taking the precautions they need to look at the plane there. Next one is Caldwell School Board canceling public hearing. This comes by KTV B7 by staff. The Caldwell School Board had a public hearing set for January 23rd on policy 3281, which talks about the transgender identity and sexual orientation for the school. The public hearing is now canceled. The school board said this is due to safety concerns. These concerns come after the January 9th school board meeting where they were discussing the policy. At this meeting, a couple hundred people showed up and the meeting ended early due to people's comments, some speaking out of turn and others yelling at the board. Even though the public meeting is canceled, the school district is taking written ideas, comments, and feedback on the policy. People can email the clerk of the board at kcheney@caldwellschools.org. They're requiring people to give their name, address, and phone number in the email if you're willing to get that kind of on there. From what I was hearing and talking to some other people, this is just kind of getting into my discussion, opinion, and the stuff I've seen. It seemed that, yes, it was getting more rowdy at the meeting and different stuff, but from when I was talking to some friends that understand some more of the politics and different thing, that there was a representative, I don't have his name with me on here right now, but an Idaho representative that went to the meeting and was kind of pressing them and putting them in a little bit of a political pigeon toe. And so rather than answering it, they kind of ended the meeting is what I kind of heard and saw, but you can go look for the recording for yourself, which it just seems, I mean, if you're worried about the possibility of people getting rowdy and hurting and different stuff, then just do a Zoom call, but still have it live, something that it's harder to control rather than this means where you just send messages in and they can just let them go into a void where no one else is hearing them and no one else is seeing them and only they are seeing them. It really should be something public, something live where you can see it. If you're worried about people in person getting a problem, then have a Zoom call or have a YouTube live stream or something where these things can be way more public, way more recorded. You don't have to let people into the particular room. I mean, one could say, well, then they can control the stream, and this is true, but it's more of a public thing. It's harder to stop what may be said or censoring what's talked about that way, and vice versa. It gives them the safety that they feel like they need in this case. But it is cool that people were putting the feet to the fire and keeping the school board accountable. As much as some may agree or not agree, I would say we should all really, really be in support of people being involved in their local communities. And that if the local community does not like what the school board is doing in their local area, then they have every right to go and tell them not to do it because it is their school, it is their district, and they have all rights to determine that independent of if you think it's right or wrong. It's their local area, and they have a choice over what their local areas run. But in any case, let's move on to the next story here. Continuing with the Caldwell theme, Caldwell road rage on the rise. This comes by KTVB7 by Shara Matsuzawa. As someone who lives in Caldwell and it's interesting traffic, I can see where this comes from, but still it's a little surprising. The Caldwell Police Department has stated that they have seen an increase in road rage incidents over the last couple of months, going from an average of 1 report per day to 5 or even 6 reports a day. Quote from Mr. Elridge. Lately in 2022, we had road rage instances where drivers were cut off by other drivers. At one point, this driver pulled out a firearm and actually shot the other driver and then took off. A lot of these road rage instances usually get started basically off of a simple thing that happens, and maybe someone accidentally cut someone off or they purposely cut them off. It could be just as simple as that. If someone's having a bad day, maybe they've already been frustrated with other drivers that are around them, end quote. He recommended that you never pull over and engage with someone that is road raging, and if you do it in a place where there's a lot of cameras. Also, people can go to the police station and report it, or they can call 911 if the person keeps following them, because sometimes that happens with cases where it's apparently like the person's road raging, and then they'll just follow you as you're driving around and stuff. And so if they're going to follow you, might as well just like drive to the police station as they're following you, so if either the person will come to their senses or the case can be resolved right there at the police station premises. But yeah, really sad to see. I mean, as a person who lives here in Caldwell, Idaho, I can kind of understand it a little bit. The traffic situation is different. It's busy. I will admit, it's not as bad as Boise. I've gone back to Boise a couple times and driven in there, and I have different events that I go to in town. And honestly, I dislike Boise more for driving because you're always stop and go at lights. Rather than in Caldwell, there's many nice long stretches where, you can go 45. That's like the speed limit there. And then, it's nice. It's comfortable. And yeah, you have to come to the stoplight, but at least I'm like moving and it doesn't feel like I'm stop and go. Sometimes that's what happens in Boise, that I go from one light and then it stops. And I'm like, one of my biggest frustrations with traffic, people who know me and are listening to this are going to chuckle, but I really wish in 2023 that lights communicated. I know this technology exists where if one light sits there and says, okay, I'm turning a green light, I can know roughly the amount of cars I've got sitting at the light that are going to be heading north now. And then the light that's north of it, it can send a signal and say, I'm sending X, Y, or Z amount of cars. And then that light can know how much time it takes the cars to travel there. And then it can take inputs from other lights. And then it can calculate where it's going to turn on. Because if one light goes green down the block and I'm coming down to the other one, that one should probably go green because there's a mass of cars coming that way. And so I'm in the cycle, and then the other lanes would stop because maybe those lights on the right and left have gone red and there's not much coming through. And then you can adapt and you can change, and it would be so much nicer than having all these timed lights that then you're just sitting there and you're like, I just came from a green light, and the last one would be really nice if it told this one, and you're just sitting there like, can we go? There's like nothing. And then you go, and then the other people like come to the light and arrive, and then they have to sit there, and it's just a stop and go madness, especially in the city where there's just, you've got all those blocks and lights you have to have for everything because everything's so busy. But coming back to Caldwell, I guess it's really, really sad to hear that people would get that frustrated. I personally have never kind of experienced this level of frustration when I drive. I might be like, okay, you'll be that way. All right, fine. Yeah. But like, I've never gotten to the point where I physically wanted to engage with someone or get frustrated or mad or cuss them out or something. It just never crossed my mind. Granted, I know I'm not a person who easily gets angry at things, but still, really sad to hear. It'll be interesting to see if more comes out about like if they have a reasoning behind it. Why? I know those people that live in Caldwell are more country folk, and the amount of traffic and stuff kind of moving into Caldwell might be part of that. Just people getting frustrated that, the Caldwell area is becoming something that it wasn't in the past. Maybe that's it. I'm not sure, but really, really sad to hear, especially with the gunshot situation. Why would you go that far? It's just driving, and you move on with your, yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the next story here. On a little bit more of a positive note, Idaho Falls mayor hands out awards. This comes by the East Idaho News by the staff over there. Last Tuesday, the Idaho Falls mayor, Rebecca Casper, gave out 10 Mayor's Choice Awards to individuals and organizations. The awards are made to celebrate organizations, residents, and businesses that have helped the city in a noteworthy way. The following is the list of awards and recipients. Kevin Call received the Outstanding Community Spirit Award. Donovan Stokes received the Outstanding Community Builder Award. Greater Idaho Falls Police Foundation received the Outstanding Philanthropic Contribution Award. Karen Liebert received the Outstanding Community Education Award. Jeff Carr received the Outstanding Community Education Award. David Adler received the Outstanding Community Education Award. Juan Contreras received the Outstanding Humanitarian Service Award. Judy and Jim Sadel received the Outstanding Community Enrichment Award. Chaplains of Idaho received the Outstanding Community Commitment Award. And lastly, the Greater Idaho Falls Transit received the Easy Rider Award. Cool to see that the city's doing this. I mean, I don't know how much play it will have. I mean, to those that receive it, it's probably really amazing and cool, and they love it. But I mean, part of the prestige of an award is that what it takes and the exclusivity of it. I think sometimes that's why, when you can get a college degree or a PhD in something, and that's pretty cool because of the amount of time you spent to do it. But when you say that you have a PhD from Harvard, since Harvard is exclusive, it increases the value of the award. Not to rag on these awards. I think these are awesome and cool, and it's a great idea. But it would be different if, say, Idaho Falls has their award, but then if, Boise started doing this, which is a real bigger city, or Pocatello or something in Idaho, then I feel like the awards would have a bigger type of meaning to them. But still, really cool to hear. Congratulations to those that received them, and props to them for whatever they've done. I know if you want to go look through the article, I think they go through it in a little bit more depth about kind of the stuff that each one of these did. Some of these people, I will admit, as I was reading through, I can't remember here, but I think it was David Adler. Sounded really familiar, that I'd read about him somewhere else, but I can't place that. But congratulations to all of them, and Godspeed for the next year. Next one's a sweet one, Black Market Gelato adding production hub. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. So the company, Black Market Gelato, is going to be adding a new production facility in Boise. It's going to be located near the Boise Airport near Gowan Road. The facility will be about 90,000 square feet in size. The company stated that it's expecting to invest $4 million in it over the next 3 years. Construction is underway and might be finished in July. This comes as the Boise Airport and Adler Industrial have been developing 75 acres over there. I want to be perfectly honest, last summer I went on a trip with some friends back east, and I had gelato kind of ice cream for the first time. I had never had it before, never knew it kind of existed, and it was really interesting and different. But with that said, this is a super, super cool thing to see, having that local. I wonder if they'll have kind of something similar to what the cheese factory in Nampa does now, where you can go in and there's a parlor, you can buy it directly there, and the prices are cheaper since it's made local. But it's always cool to see when new production stuff comes to Idaho, because then there's more jobs, more unique jobs as well, because I think that would be kind of a cool job to have there at the production hub. And plus all these local things that it's made right here in Idaho. It doesn't need to be transported all over the place. It's right here, nice and local. So that'd be cool. I did go look at their website. They do make gelato, which is their main thing, but they do make some soft serve ice creams, and then they make these certain cakes. I can't tell if it's an ice cream cake or if it's a gelato cake, which that might be interesting. I don't know how that would work, but you might check them out and see their website, because it's kind of just interesting to read through there, and it's kind of also pretty if you're a designer type of person. You might find it attractive in your OCD and everything. But still very cool to hear. It'll be interesting to see as it progresses, and hopefully it finishes on time in July, which I think is a pretty cool timeline, unless there's already a facility there, and then they're just going to kind of outfit everything in there, and then I can see it being done by July. But some of these dates sometimes we're we're going to be done this quick. I'm always kind of skeptical, because everyone says, oh, it'll be done really fast, and then nothing gets done super, super fast all the time. It just takes forever. But then again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Maybe I'm just used to government timelines when it comes to things. Continuing with the ice cream theme, new local ice cream shop. This comes by the Boise Dev by Gretchen Parsons. For those in Boise who may or may not remember, the Baskin Robbins on State Street closed a little while back. In its place, a new ice cream shop is going to be going in. It's called Stella's Ice Cream. They make homemade ice cream there, including some more classic flavors and some seasonal ones like gingerbread and cookies for Santa. With that said, it's not their first ice cream parlor. They have another one in downtown Nampa on 3rd Street, which opened in 2018. As for the new one, it is unknown when it will open, but I assume they've just got to get some paperwork cleared and everything for that. But still cool to hear. From reading the article, it sounds like they try to make it kind of like an old-fashioned ice cream parlor, which is cool. They didn't have any particular inside photos, so I might have to drop by the Nampa one to see what that kind of looks like. But still very, very cool to hear. Awesome to see something like that going in, see what they have. I mean, it sounds like it's just traditional ice cream. It's not like the yogurt, like frozen yogurt ones or whatever that they kind of exist. I mean, I guess that's not technically ice cream, that's frozen yogurt, but I know some of those places kind of merge those together. But still very cool to see. So I guess those in the Boise area, you can keep an eye out for it and see how it's going and developing. If you see that it's open or something, then I guess send me a message and I'll put it in the quickies real quick. But with that said, we'll move on to the next one, just kind of a short one. Also, another food one, kind of continuing with it. excellent and tasty drive-thru near Rexburg. This comes by the East Idaho News by Caitlin Hart. In Rigby, Idaho, there is a gem of a drive-thru coffee place. Café Edmore is located at 180 West Main Street with its pink trailer in Rigby, Idaho. According to the article, they offer hot coffee, cold fruit smoothies, some breakfast foods, and some homemade year-round goodies. Their popular items are Mardi Gras made of chocolate, twisted marshmallows, caramel, and coffee. Also, their mango smoothie and their hot chocolate cookies. With that said, they do offer gluten-free options, and they are a veteran-owned business according to their Google Maps listing, which is cool to see. So those in the Rexburg area or kind of Pocatello, that kind of general area over there, if you want to, maybe drop by. From what I was seeing from some of the photos, it looks really, really good. And I mean, who doesn't want to try some new food? It's enjoyable and it's supporting a local business. I know it was a short one, but I thought it was worth sharing it. It was really interesting to see because I didn't know about it. And there's kind of those hidden gems, so I thought I would share that with you. But move on to the next one. On to the last one and our fun one-ish. I mean, it's a fun one, but also it's kind of a sad one, but it was statistics, and I'm kind of a sucker for statistics, so I threw it in here. Internet crimes on the rise. This comes by the Bonner Ferry Herald by Kate Thornbrew. So the Internet Crime Complaint Center, a division of the FBI, has released its annual report on internet crimes for the past year. In the report, Idahoans age 50 and older reportedly lost more than 10.7 million in 2021. Granted, this number may be higher because people don't like to admit when they've been fooled. Out of that 10.7 million, 402 were cases where people had purchased an item online and didn't receive it, or they sold an item online and the person never paid for it after it had shipped. This made up about 2.3 million. The rest were 101 cases of extortion, 175 personal data breaches, 125 identity theft, and 115 tech support related theft. Now, related to age, the majority of victims were over 60, half as many people between the age of 50 and 59, but lost nearly twice as much. And then 19% of victims were under the age of 30, which is very, very sad to hear. I mean, internet crime is definitely a real element of our daily lives in the 21st century with all that and everything. But it is kind of sad and frustrating to see that the older generation is taken advantage of the most because we love them. We love them so much. I love my grandparents so very, very much, and they have so much wisdom that I've learned from them and applied to my life, and I wouldn't be half the person I am. But they just struggle with the Internet of Things. Proves it, the FBI thing. I didn't go out and look at the report directly to see what it looks like for the rest of the United States, but that's just Idaho. Those are the statistics just within the state of Idaho, which is really sad to hear. But then, on the flip side, we can't say that age solves everything because there's still 19% of victims under the age of 30. So that means you're talking people in their 20s and in their teens that are getting affected by this, which is also kind of crazy to hear. You always think, well, they can't be affected. Yes, they can. You need to be honest, make sure if we're talking about just like general technical understanding, do not open a link from somewhere that you don't know or a pre-approved site that like you subscribe to. If someone asks for money over the internet that you've never met in person or don't know, don't grant it, don't give it, meet them in person and talk about them. Money transactions should be done in person in front of the person that is requesting it, not over some direct internet where someone's messaging you, I need this much money. I never do that. And I highly recommend other people don't. I mean, if there's a tech support person on the phone, unless you call them, it's not tech support most of the time. Because if you're going to call tech support, you're going to call them. They're not going to call you. You will be calling them. Personal data, that comes down to, I guess, more to breach. Identity theft, that's just keeping it safe. Extortion, that is getting virus. That comes down to you having good virus protection on all your equipment and software. Some stuff like the modern smartphones, like Android and iOS phones, are pretty good at not needing an application to protect you. Granted, if you're not savvy about what you're doing with your tech and stuff, and you're not a super techie nerd, then yes, having a malware software protection system on your phone is really good. But the real things that are kind of at risk are your desktop systems, be it if you have an Apple computer. I know everyone says, Apple is super, super safe, but because there's so many Apple products out there, there are still exploits and ways to hack them. They are not invulnerable to problems like they used to be in the past. And so you do need to still have virus protection software on those and your Windows PC. Now, the cool thing is if you've got a Linux PC and you don't have one of the really, really common boots of it, then you're going to actually be a lot more protected, because hackers, think of it this way, think of it like a set of tools. They have a set of tools to hack into things that are the most common. If everyone has a bunch, like we'll go to a car analogy, if everyone's got a bunch of Fords, and they're assuming that, and they'll come with tools to break into a lot of Ford cars, because that's what everyone has. If everyone's got a lot of Fords and a lot of Chevys, then that's what they're going to use. But if you roll up in some car that's from like North Korea that has a special locking system, most, in this case, that's a perfect example of like it with the tech stuff. Most hijackers are just not going to have the tools to break into that type of car. Same thing comes over to tech. Most people are either running a version of macOS or they're running Windows. Those are the two biggest operating systems in the world for desktop computers. But if you're running kind of a rare version of Linux, the hacker's going to come to that and it's going to try to apply a software to it. The hacker's going to try to do something, and it's just not going to work, because it's like nothing the virus has ever seen. It can't interact with it. It doesn't understand the code. It doesn't understand the language it's trying to hack and break into. And so that protects you a lot. The biggest protection you have against theft or hacking or stuff is, one, being knowledgeable about what you're doing, and also having technology that isn't the biggest mainstream type of stuff. Sometimes that becomes a headache when you're trying to like work with stuff and person's like, what on earth are you using? Because then you're not with everyone else. So it has pluses and minuses. But if you want the most hardened system, go with something that isn't what everyone else is using, because then it usually will help your case, making you more protected, because the hackers aren't used to it, and there's a million other people that are using systems that they understand that are way easier targets, and they'll move on. But with that said, we'll run into the quickies and wrap this show up for the day. First one here is Boise Greenbelt closing Monday. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Heads up for those in Boise that use the Greenbelt. A section will be closed because of construction for the Boise Parks Recreation's lighting project, where they'll be adding pedestrian lights. The section is closed between Ann Morrison Park's Pioneer Bridge and South 8th Street Bridge on the south side of the river. Boise City Council member vacates her position. This comes by the Boise Dev by Donde. In short, last Friday, Liza Sanchez is no longer a member of the Boise City Council. This is because she moved outside of her district. Thus, to rules, she cannot be on the City Council board. So from what I've been reading, they're looking for some new openings. So if you're interested in running for Boise City Council position, then that might be your opportunity for that. A little bit of a cute one. 38 puppies arrived. This comes by the Coeur d'Alene /Postfall Press. For those looking for some cuteness in their life, the Kootenai Humane Society has received 38 puppies from Texas this last Wednesday. They were sent over due to shelters in Texas unable to handle them. The puppies are a mix of breeds, but all of them are happy and healthy. A couple of them have already been adopted, but there's still some available. Plus, they've gotten all their shots and everything. So if you're interested in getting a new companion, you might want to check that out there. Valley Regional Transit open for feedback. This comes by the Boise Dev by Mariela Rodriguez. Valley Regional Transit is looking for feedback about transportation in the Treasure Valley area because of the number of people moving further away from towns for more affordable housing. They're trying to fill the needs for people that may have to have better transport and commuting. They have a survey online where people can give feedback and suggestions of what they're wanting coming forward in the next couple of years. Business close in Mountain Home. This comes by the Mountain Home News by Sawyer Crenshaw. The hometown Sears store closed last Wednesday after 25 years of service due to the parent company Sears filing for bankruptcy and them no longer to keep afloat. Boise Bicycle Project helps refugee children. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Last Wednesday, in honor of MLK Day, the Boise Bicycle Project donated 50 bikes to the Ukraine Refuge Welcome Center here in Idaho. New Chipotle location in Meridian. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. There is a possibility of a new Chipotle opening up in Meridian. If it happens, the new location would be at 1737 South Meridian Road and would have a drive-through. New Noodles & Co. in Meridian. This comes by the Boise Dev by Autumn Robertsons. The Noodle & Co. applied for a new location at 3103 West Millen Drive off 10 Mile in Meridian. The building would be 2,200 square feet and even have a drive-through. The application will be seen at the Meridian Planning and Zoning meeting on February 2nd. Lastly, man killed by train. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. Last Tuesday afternoon, a Meridian man died after being involved in a crash with a train and SUV in Kuna. The crash happened at about 1:20 p.m. The initial report shows that the driver drove over a railroad crossing and was hit by the train. The train did not have any damages or derail, but they was stopped on the track for several hours as they cleared everything off. My condolences to the family of the deceased. If I missed something, got something wrong, or you have some advice for the show, then send me an email at localyokelidaho2022@gmail.com or tweet me at localyokelidaho on Twitter. For right now, this show is just a one-man show, so I can't afford to go over everything, but I hope I was able to cover as many things as possible. Thank you for your support and help. That's all for now, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Godspeed.